Welcome back, everybody, to Retroactive, your place for all things fandom. I'm Andrew, of course. We got another jam-packed episode for you today. Let me go ahead real quick and introduce my other panelists. Joining us for the first time in a few weeks, we've got Josh McCoy. How you doing, bud?
Doing good, man. Happy to be back. Sorry, I've been dying like the past 3 weeks, so I haven't really been able to make it. But
Yeah, he essentially had the plague, so we had to let that play out.
basically, but I had to make sure I was here today because Deadpool 3 rocked my world today. I'm so excited to talk about that one.
Oh yeah, we definitely wouldn't have done this without you.
And also, our new sponsorship of Dr. Pepper.
That's the most important thing right there. And joining us, of course, is my wife, Ashlyn. Hey, babe.
Hey, guys.
And joining us once again, Brandon. How's it going, bud?
Good.
Second wife.
What?
His second wife, Brandon.
Oh,
Second wife, Brandon. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, she jokes every time, like, I'm messaging one of you guys, like, which one of your side bitches are you talking to? I'm like, the usual two.
It's the same thing, and it's either you guys or, like, one of the other group chats, but that's about it.
Exactly. All right, so we're going to kick things off with a big one because today we got the second trailer for Deadpool 3. Now, this one, Deadpool and Wolverine, sorry. This one, obviously, if you want to say, learned from the first one of all the complaints of, I didn't see Wolverine. Well, you got so much Wolverine in this one, it's almost ridiculous. I think they were literally, in a sense, like playing with people, being like, you complained the first time, well, now you're going to complain in a different way. We're showing you so much freaking Wolverine. It was cool. I tell you what, I want to jump it to the guy that we want to make sure was here for the show, our Marvel guy specific, Josh McCoy. What were your thoughts on the second trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine?
I thought it was really cool. They're doing a great job at not really telling us what this movie's about. Because if you think about it, it's just a buddy cop movie so far with Wolverine and Deadpool. They showed us Cassandra Nova, the villain of this movie, who are supposedly the villain. Who knows? Knowing them, she might just be a small snippet of it, and then there's somebody bigger. But she made Wolverine look like a little bitch by putting his claws on the ground, which was pretty cool. But I thought it was kind of, they're really emphasizing that this isn't Deadpool 3, because I heard the director say that. It's just as much a Wolverine movie as Deadpool. So like the first trailer was like Deadpool's side of the story with the TVA, and now this one was more of a Wolverine trailer. So I thought that was cool. So maybe that means whenever the third trailer comes out, when they show the tickets or announce tickets are on sale, which I'm dreading that's going to be a No Way Home situation all over again.
Yeah, Endgame, No Way Home, all that.
Queue like 30 minutes to an hour trying to get a damn ticket for opening night. But hopefully they show us a little more about the actual story is about. If not, this movie's selling itself. I think I'm here for the surprise and here for the ride. There were a lot of cool little like snippets and Easter eggs, kind of like, I don't know if you guys caught into the Rob Liefeld feet thing when they're walking by.
Yeah, I did.
I did see that, yeah.
Right here at the top, Liefeld's feet.
Mm-hmm.
The man can't draw comic book feet for his shit, so it's like a ongoing joke in the industry. I thought was funny. But no, this
I think he makes that joke in the first movie, doesn't he?
Probably. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's something like, looks like somebody who's created who can't draw feet, something like that from the first one.
I didn't notice. I had to watch the trailer twice to realize that the Ant-Man scene with the helmet, it's Scott Lang's skull or Hank.
Yep.
Either one.
Yeah.
That's dark as hell. And then it's also not just his head. You can see his shoulders, so it's kind of like their whole layers, like his torso, kind of.
His body, yeah.
It's giant, man.
That's
the whole giant, man.
That's just really dark. And then you had the whole. It was interesting to see that everybody keeps saying that they think this is the Wolverine from Logan because he has that same issue where his claws are not all the way. I don't really think it is. They've already talked about how they're leaving that alone. I think this is a whole separate Logan, obviously, because his universe got destroyed, which we don't know how yet. So I just watched before the show. I was watching John Campea, and they're thinking that it's the Logan from the Logan movie. Like, that doesn't really make any sense to me.
No, it doesn't either.
The only way that would make sense is if they took him out after the events of like whatever happened to all the X-Men and then put him right back in it.
But then they said his universe is gone. If they put him right back, his universe is still there.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if they meant if the universe is gone, the universe is gone. But they keep saying that he let his world down or whatever. So I didn't know if that meant the universe was gone or if that just like his whole team is dead. You know what I mean?
I think it was I think he calls an incursion. That's what I got.
Okay.
And I have a feeling Cassandra Nova is not even going to be like the main villain. I think she's just going to be part of the Void. I think the whole thing is just going to be them trying to stop incursions and I have a feeling that ending scene in the trailer where they're jumping through the Doctor Strange portal.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's them going into the 616. So I have a feeling that there's a lot to this movie, and I agree with what John Campea said and Rob and all them on the show. I think that trailer is maybe the first 30 minutes of the movie, 30 minutes to an hour of the movie, and then there's still a whole mess we have yet to see. And I think this movie is in for a lot of big surprises. And I've seen a lot of the leaks and all that kind of stuff that I know you don't want to hear about, but this movie is definitely going to be insane. And all you guys have to go see opening weekend. I'm looking at you, Brandon.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there's no debate on that one.
Like Thursday night, you have to go watch this on Thursday night.
It'll happen. I promise you. That's going to be PTO from work if I have to. Type.
Calling out that day.
Yep.
If you miss this opening weekend, you're going to be spoiled by the internet.
Oh, I know
for sure.
I know that ain't happening. I don't play when it comes to Deadpool. I've seen all of them on release night.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those a No Way Home Endgame, Infinity War type level because. Yeah, go ahead.
So when I saw Endgame, like I went to one of the first showings, and like the moment I got home, the whole scene with Hulk doing the snap was leaked online. I'm like, it hasn't even been out for a full 10 hours, and it's the whole
people
thing
are the worst.
I survived 2 weeks after Endgame to see it.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I was in Ecuador. I literally was in Ecuador for 2 weeks, and when I left, the night after I had left to go on the trip, Endgame dropped. And so I was just like, well, this is going to happen one way or another. I'm going to get spoiled online. Did not get spoiled at all until I get back. I literally flew back in, and we got back in about 1:00, and I went to my buddy's show, who was right down the road from me. He was doing a little acoustic gig, and one of you guys might know him, Zach Jinx. I don't know.
Can't say maybe. I do.
Holloway Tape and a couple other bands. But anyway, he is outside and he's just like, yeah, Thor's fat, Tony's dead. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Shut the fuck up, dude. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, I remember, oh, you haven't seen it? Oh, God. I'm like, man, all right.
I remember pulling up to Infinity War, and there was people coming out of the theater, and people talking about it spoiled the whole Spider-Man thing for me for Infinity. I'm like, you motherfucker! I'm literally about to walk in the door, and you ruined the whole Spider-Man thing for me.
I literally I think because we went to, I did end up getting to go to, I think not opening night, but Friday night screening for Endgame, and it was literally like a midnight screening or something like that. The whole way into the theater, I'm like this. Because I just know how people are, and like I've had that happen. Like it used to happen. It hasn't happened to me out here too much. But it used to happen all the time when I'd go see a movie or wait for a big movie to come out for when I go to Cobb Theater in Lakeland and stuff like that, and they'd have you lined up for like the next screening in the main lobby or whatever. You'd have the people walking out of the theater you're about to go in and be like, yeah, this happened and this happened. Like, oh, I hate you. Like, I can't stand people like that.
I never once had any of that happen because I always choose the most dead theater, Lake Wales. Go to Lake Wales.
That'll do it.
Nobody
should come to Cinemark on that Thursday. I know we got to fight for tickets, but I would say we can go with Andrew and Ashlyn, but they're all the way, in Egypt.
Yeah,
let me tell you what, if I can get tickets for everybody, I think you guys would really enjoy the theater the Dolby Theater that I'm definitely going to watch this in. So we'll talk about it more before tickets go on sale. But if we could do a group thing, that'd be amazing.
That'd be fun.
But Brandon, your thoughts on the trailer that dropped today?
He hated it.
The worst.
The complete opposite. Like, I'm so stoked for this movie. When they originally announced that they were going to do a Deadpool 3, with that little teaser with Hugh Jackman going up the stairs, and he's just like, "Sure, Ryan."
Yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah,
why not? I was just like, this is what a lot of people have been waiting for. And I think that this is going to capture a lot of people in exactly the way that they want to with a Deadpool Wolverine mashup on screen. And I think that that it's going to be a very, very, very pivotal point with the MCU. And they're setting it up to be such a thing and usher in Secret Wars. I don't know how much has been talked about on that front, but already what we're seeing is huge. Uh-oh. Spaghetti's ready, bro.
I love the cat thing. It just cracks me up every time. It cracks me up.
Continue.
It's all good.
So just my thoughts on the trailer in general. Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with the absolute morbid scene with Scott Lang's head, bro. Like,
the thing opens up and you see the skull. Like, what the hell?
I recognize that. I didn't see it like you, Josh. I didn't see it on the first time, but watching the second time on the trailer, I was just like, oh, that's badass. But it got me thinking too.
Watched this trailer today.
It got me thinking too that I will be very disappointed if Deadpool does not make a joke about going to the back door, while going inside. It's gonna happen. We have to, So I'm really excited to see how this plays into the rest of the characters, specifically with how much they're showing of the MCU off the bat. I mean, they're not being shy about this at all. I mean, they're cracking jokes about it. Deadpool's cracking jokes about it. And I think that this is going to usher in a lot. I really want to know whose portal that is that they're jumping through, whether that's Wong or if it's Doctor Strange. I mean, and like you, Josh, saying that this portal taking him to 616. I hope that's the case. But I have a feeling. We're not going to see we're not going to see Wolverine in 616 because they're saying this is the last ride for him. So
there's that scene in She-Hulk where she's reading the article and it says "Man with metal claws fights in bar."
Yeah.
So like it could be like this is happening prior to She-Hulk type thing.
It could be. I wouldn't be shocked if we didn't see him in future projects for the MCU, but I hope it happens. Any Hugh Jackman Wolverine, I'm totally fine with. But we'll see what happens, I guess. Yeah, I'm loving the humor of this so far, though. Everything I've seen leading up to this movie has been trailers, teasers, everything. It's got me hooked, so I'm excited.
I love that they call out Kevin Feige every chance they can.
Oh yeah. And
that
Disney.
clip at the end was the best.
Yeah, you want to build a snowman?
He's like, that's the one thing we said we couldn't do. The one thing. They know all the slang, That's just so great. Yeah, as far as
the trailer today,
probably like 2 or 3 times. I'm sure you're probably like 10 or something like that.
I think I like 8 times because I've shown everybody I talked to. I'm like, hey, what's the Deadpool trailer? Hey,
watch two and a breakdown. The breakdown there you go. Really cool.
I've heard a lot of people talking like what you guys keep saying with the Scott Lang, Ant-Man thing that and a few other things are references to like the Old Man Logan comic books.
Yeah.
And that storyline and stuff like that. Obviously, I don't think we're going to be adhering too much to that, but I think there's going to be some nods to it because obviously Logan went in a bit of a different direction than the traditional comic books did because they couldn't use a lot of the characters from that storyline because they're part of like the 616, Marvel or whatever you want to call it, type of world. So, yeah,
think it's the same TVA from Loki, or do you think it's a different one? Because I've heard people say it's
no idea.
Universe, and I'm like, that one makes no sense because the TVA is outside.
Is handling multiple universes. Yeah.
So, like,
I don't know.
It's got to be the same, but what I want to know is if it's before or after the events of Loki.
Right.
That's a good question for sure. Ashlyn, now for you, I'm going to start this off with, is this your favorite Madonna song to show up in a Deadpool? No, what did you take away from this, trailer of ridiculousness, if you will?
Trailer of ridiculousness. My takeaway is I have a lot of freaking questions.
Yeah, you and everybody else.
They didn't tell us anything about the action movie, just that it has Wolverine and Deadpool.
And I'm okay with that, personally.
Yeah, no, I just mean in the fact of like, what time frame are we in? Like, when are these events taking place? obviously we're in some other Earth or some other timeline. I need to know where Wade got that horrible wig and why Vanessa is letting him wear it. That is, you know, it's just, I'm excited to see where this whole story is, taking place, what is happening, if it's strictly the TVA or if it's an incursion or what this threat is over why his world is going to disappear. So, and then obviously some backstory as far as which Logan is this, like did he come from, that he lost his world or whatever, whether it was to an incursion or something else. And then obviously whatever's going on with why Scott Lang is dead, or if it's Hank Pym or whoever is inside the giant Ant-Man costume. So I just have a lot of questions, but I'm really excited. Like, I can't wait to see where it goes. I'm just the obnoxious person that needs to know everything all the time. So
Me too.
Well, I'm sure as we get closer, Josh will have plenty of leaks that could give you answers.
I
We
can tell you
really need
about the movie right now, but I know y'all don't want to hear it.
I can tell you info
No.
none of you guys know about it. If you
No.
want.
You guys think
I know
all
two,
the above. No.
I'll just say I know two people that I don't believe have been even leaked that are going to be in it, and I know who dies out of those two. But interesting.
Good to know. Keep it to yourself.
Yep, noted.
Yeah, my thing is with this trailer, like, I thought it was really fun. Obviously, we got way more about Wolverine. Like you said, this was his trailer versus Deadpool's trailer. It wasn't. I'll say my only like gripe is like it wasn't like my favorite trailer. I think the way that, because I think what it is that because they're trying to keep even though they are leaking stuff and showing certain things, they are also obviously, as we keep saying, keeping a lot of the story points and stuff like that close to the chest. And so in order to do that, how do you cut a trailer around all that kind of stuff without leaking it, especially with how many characters are probably going to show up throughout this entire movie from X number of universes that exist? How do you do that without spoiling everything? So the way that the trailer's cut, at certain points, it seems like a little weird at times, like a little rough editing. But that, again, that's probably because they're trying not to spoil everything. So like, I'm not shitting on the trailer or anything like that. It's a good trailer. It's just not one of those like, holy crap, I'm losing my mind type of moments for me personally, because like we already knew Wolverine was coming. We knew this was, a Wolverine from some other universe, like things like that. It's not necessarily telling me anything I don't already know. But as we've addressed, I'm fine with it going into this particular movie as blind to the situation as possible. So obviously, a lot of questions won't be answered unless you're looking at leaks until the movie comes out.
An answer though, because I know when the first image of Wolverine in the suit came out, everybody was mad he has sleeves.
Oh, the sleeves, and they got rid of the sleeves.
Got jacked and has no sleeves in some of the scenes, so all you people can be happy now.
That's right. Yeah, it's very comic accurate, animated accurate, however you want to put it. Definitely much more as traditional of a Wolverine, I think, as we will ever see in live action version with that suit. Even when we get to like the MCU version down the line, if it's somebody else, I don't think it'll ever be that close to the comic.
I really hope that they either show him or have some joke about Loki, or it's like Deadpool kind of joke about Loki holding everything together or something. I don't know.
Well, and of course we got that like the reference of the creature that eats everything from Loki. I figured you'd know the name. Showing up in the trailer, so clearly it's a factor as it is in the Loki series, just like obviously the TVA, whatever version of this that it is. So lot of stuff that I'm sure there are plenty of videos breaking every single frame down with this and the previous trailer, and we'll continue to do so. Luckily, we don't have too much longer to wait, so fingers crossed it gets here soon. Let's move on to our next topic here. We have the new trailer for Transformers 1. This is a new installment, like a prequel, basically telling the beginning of the Autobots, obviously in animation form versus live action. When they originally announced that this movie was happening, I was like, oh, cool, we're actually getting an animated Transformers movie, like, so we can maybe get away from the, human aspect and just focus on them, like on Cybertron and everything. That is what it is, Cybertron.
Cybertron, yeah.
And focus on that. I watched this trailer. I'm not super hyped about it. This is personally, this is like way too yuck within this trailer. And I don't think it's just the trailer. I don't think it's just the way it's cut. I think they're clearly, I understand that Transformers is a kid's property. It's a toy. They're always worried about selling toys, and they got to market it towards the kids. I think they leaned a little too heavy into the dumb kid humor side of things. This is giving me like Transformers meets Trolls type of thing, and I'm not really hyped about it. Now, the next trailer could come out. Maybe it's a more serious trailer, and it could change my mind. I'm not holding my breath on that. And I still might see it. I don't know. But I just have to go off this initial trailer, and I'm just not loving it. Everything is a joke instead of like, obviously, we have Keegan-Michael Key voicing Bumblebee. And like, obviously, he's pretty much always, the comedic guy in everything that he does. So, and Bumblebee usually has some laughs, whether it's through his, voice or through the audio clips that he uses and stuff like that. But it's not just him. Every single character, like including Optimus and Megatron, are what?
They have different names in this one.
Yeah, it's their names like before they become who they are or something like that.
Yeah.
But they're all cracking jokes and making dumb one-liners and stuff like that. I don't know. Ashlyn, what did you think of this particular trailer?
I mean, it looks okay. I mean, I've kind of left the Transformers universe behind. The only thing I really enjoyed outside of the first one was Bumblebee when that came out. So that was really good. I enjoyed that one. Obviously, I don't think I'm the target audience for
Are you
this.
sure?
But
you don't think 30-something women is what they're targeting at?
Yeah.
For this particular thing? I'm sorry.
But it definitely gave me like old school, like Beavis and Butthead, like humor and that, like with what you were saying with the humor style, which is definitely, not my cup of tea for that. Sorry, all I can see now is them just doing their stupid jokes. Sorry, in my brain.
Just Megatron, just like, yeah, funny.
Yeah. But the female Autobot was badass. I think she's the only one who was playing it straight the whole time.
I think that one is supposed to be RC, if I remember correctly. But it's kind of hard to tell in this animation style and what they're doing with it, like exactly who is who, other than obviously Optimus and Megatron.
Just Megatron. Yeah. But she seemed to be the only one playing the straight man, like keeping it pretty close to the vest. Like,
and I believe that's Scarlett Johansson, if I remember correctly.
Is it?
Because it's Chris Hemsworth as Optimus, Scarlett Johansson as, I'm guessing, RC, Keegan-Michael Key as Bumblebee, and I forget the actor's name that's doing Megatron, but it's all like big name actors that are doing this. And that was the other thing, like when they announced it, I was like, I don't know. Like, we don't always have to do, I know this is pretty much a thing now with animated movies that they just get every big name actor they can or
but
talent.
It doesn't always make sense. Like, I don't understand why they're wasting the money to get all these big name actors to do this voice acting, because I just don't see a little.
There's so many talented voice actors out there, even if they don't stick to the original stuff. I get changing it up. Like, especially if you're going with a younger version of them, changing it up from the original Optimus and stuff like that, even though I'm sure it pissed a lot of people off. But there's so many talented voice actors out there. You don't have to spend the money on these big name actors. But Brandon, what did you think of this trailer?
First off, I don't know why they're calling it Transformers 1. Or
yes.
Is it? Yeah, yeah. It's odd choice for a name. Even for a prequel, they could have just called it, I don't know, whatever, Tales of Cybertron, something like that.
Yeah, that could work.
because it just right now it's like, I could see where this would be a very cool thing for the fans, but it right now, from what I've seen, it doesn't look like it's going to be good. And I'm not really hyped about this in any shape or form. The casting is fantastic, and to me, a little too much for what this calls for in all aspects. Like, I feel like this is going to be one big push, like, they do once a year or so, where they push this stupidly awesome movie like that, or this movie with all this stupidly awesome good cast, and it's just going to fall flat on its face. I don't see this going in any other way. I could be very wrong, and it could be a very good story, but right now I'm not impressed in any way, shape, or form, and this was probably going to be one I'm going to put on the back burner. So,
well, I mean, do you think because Peter Cullen's not in it, that's a big sign?
No, well, I think I could see what they're doing, in doing a prequel, because his voice wouldn't make sense with a younger Optimus unless their voices just don't change because they're robots.
Yeah,
but there is that argument.
That would make sense, but but if they're going with the
it's after you get your first oil change.
Yeah, right. If they're going for the thought that these are creatures that can grow, and have a kid to adult lifespan in this sort of way, I'd understand why they would have to change up the voice actor, but it just doesn't make sense right now why they're going with such a star-studded cast for something that doesn't at all call for it. And like you guys already said, that there's so many other fantastic voice actors out there that could have filled the role for a fraction of the cost. And it seems like this is just one big money grab that people are going to see, Scarlett Johansson, Keegan-Michael Key, which, by the way, he's in everything now, it seems like.
Everything, yeah.
And Chris Hemsworth, and be like, yes, because Avengers, and yeah, it's like, that's I don't know.
I will say about Keegan-Michael Key, though, he's actually turning into a pretty good voice actor, because I had no idea that he was Toad when I watched the movie the first time. Yeah. Like, it's a completely different voice, But
he's a very talented actor, but it's still the fact remains on this side of it is that it's too big for what I think they're trying to do, and it seems like it's all just for a money grab. To me, the franchise is dead and has been dead for a while. The last one, pretty good, not gonna lie. Yeah. But it's just dragging and dragging and dragging. And if we're up to, what are we up to now? Transformers technically 7 if you count Bumblebee, 8, something like that.
They didn't reboot it. Like, it's not tied to Michael Bay anymore.
Yeah, technically Bumblebee rebooted it, but yeah. But you're right.
It's like that's just I was hyped. I always will have a special place in my heart, despite what people say about the first 3 or 4 of them. And then when Wahlberg got brought in, it was just like, here we go, we're going down. Bumblebee was good for a solo movie, but and the last one was good for just what it was.
I just really want what they did at the very beginning of Bumblebee, that opening sequence on Cybertron with the war. If I could get a movie length of that,
that's what I was hoping this was going to be, and that trailer was very underwhelming to me. So.
Yeah, Josh, what are your thoughts on this?
Not to be the negative Nancy, but I see this flopping. Like I said, I
mean, we're all pretty much saying that.
We're all in the same boat.
You're not the odd man out you think you are.
As much as I love Chris Hemsworth, like, he's one of my favorites, I don't see him as Optimus Prime. I think that was kind of a weird. Like you said, I feel like the star power was really not needed for this movie. And I didn't realize it was animated. I started the trailer, and then I didn't even finish it. I'm like,
that threw me for a loop too.
This isn't for me. Like, I thought it was going to be like a newer. I thought Chris Hemsworth was going to be playing like a military human character, and it was going to continue the whole Bumblebee story or whatever. Oh, that was a nice surprise, I guess you could say. But I think this movie's going to flop. Definitely not for me. If you are excited for it, I'm happy for you. I love Scarlett Johansson. I love Chris Hemsworth, but like Brandon said, they weren't really needed for a movie like this.
No,
I think they could have.
Yeah, it's like they spent the money on the star power to draw the adults in,
and
that are just going to bring their kids. But like, the kids don't give a crap who's voicing these
That's
characters.
what I was saying earlier.
Exactly.
Like as a kid, you never sat around and were like, "Oh, so and so is voicing this." So I'm like, kids just don't think like that.
Because unless your dad and your dad or your mom or whoever looks at you and goes, "Hey, Thor is Optimus Prime," they'll be like, "Really?" And that's about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty
And then
much.
if you really think about it, if you have to get star power to draw your movie, why are you making the movie to begin with? Because
Yeah.
then you're saying, "Oh, the movie's not that great. Hopefully, the star power bring it in." Why are you making the movie to begin with?
Well, it's just
Funny.
one of those franchises that needs a cool off period. We've been going strong. Well, started off strong, and then we're just limping along at this point for the last what? I mean, we're past 10 years at this point.
Well, let's do this. I want to carry this over into the second half of this particular topic. It's not specific to Transformers 1, but they have, since the end of the last movie, they alluded to the possibility of a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover film. And now that has officially been announced by Paramount. No release date or anything like that. It's very early on in the like development stage, I would believe. But I think that this could be one of those, like, maybe it's not exactly what this franchise needs, but as far as the live action sphere, could actually bring some excitement back if they do it correctly. And like I said, the last movie thought was pretty dang good. It was, in my opinion, one of the best ones since the original.
Transformers or Joe?
You liked it because of Pete
He's
Davis.
talking about Transformers.
That's what I thought.
Sorry,
Okay.
not G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
No, both those movies were not good. Especially the second one was absolute
The
garbage.
second one.
Oh,
Bye.
we lost. There we
Hello.
go. You're back. Yeah, the second one was absolute garbage.
You ought to
And,
fight for Pete Davidson. Don't lie.
Yes, that's the whole reason I saw the movie. I wanted to see which version of his car form that would end up dating. Anyway.
Oh God.
Anyway, so at the very end of the movie, for those of you who haven't seen it, they allude that the main character might end up getting to join G.I. Joe, and that G.I. Joe actually exists in the same universe as these Transformers that we now know from Bumblebee. And
$5 say they bring The Rock into it.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, he was
Don't do
he
that.
was in Retaliation, so I
think he
highly
was,
doubt that they'll
I'm
do it.
just saying The Rock.
If
is-
it wasn't for that, yes. If he hadn't been in the sequel, yes, he absolutely probably would have been involved.
He tried to make his way with DC. It failed. So he's like, "Fuck, I gotta find a new franchise." Oh look, G.I. Joe's coming back with Transformers. Bet. Why? Again,
Yeah.
watch me in it.
The saving grace is that this is still kind of set in the past because the last movie was set in the 90s. So I'm hoping that they just like, nope, that whole other thing didn't happen. We're starting fresh. That's the only way, in my opinion, that makes sense. Again, I'm not saying it's going to save the franchise, but I do think it could reinvigorate some energy into this, bring some like old school fans back, just to see what it looks like. You know what I mean? Does anybody else have opinions on this whole crossover possibility?
I think
Shia LaBeouf are dead.
What?
What?
Shia LaBeouf or it.
Shia LaBeouf, or it's a flop.
Oh, my
Oh,
gosh.
okay.
Yeah, I'm with you on that though. I kind of think that they need to. I mean, that would bring the fandom of like at least people like myself that never really cared or watched the cartoons so much growing up, know of it, but really grew up and fell in love with it with the Michael Bay trilogy at least. I think that would be a good callback for sure. However, I see this like strongly failing, and I really don't want to because I think it's a great idea. I think it's a good concept. I think it's going to be, but when you merge a franchise that's been really just burning out very hardcore over the last at least 6-7 years,
Yeah,
something like that, plus a franchise which has had you can like the first one all you want, 2 movies that flopped in my opinion. I don't see how that can make something better. I think that this is just going to be worse. And, it might be something new. It's probably just going to be a popcorn flick at best.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, the only way it's going to be good is you got to get a good director that's going to take it seriously, do the fan service, and not phone it in with cash grab actors and stuff like that. Because I think that's where the concept behind the first G.I. Joe movie was there, but they were just cash grab actors because Channing Tatum was at the height of his popularity and everything like that. And so they're like, oh, here's our pretty face. Here's our popular guy. Let's go ahead and throw him in as the face. Because
it's been a long time since I've seen that movie, but I remember that first movie being pretty dang good, like for what it was.
Yeah,
and then they
it
just
was
completely
decent.
shot the bed with the second one because they killed everyone. Like,
it would have made more sense to put Chris Hemsworth in this movie. It made him.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that.
Yeah,
100%.
Made him and Scarlett Johansson both badass GI Joe characters, and
yeah,
it just clicked. That would make so much more sense.
He's like, I've saved the franchise.
Like, imagine Extraction with Transformers. That would be dope. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's all going to be a waiting game at this point to see who actually they get to direct, what direction they end up going with it, and where it goes from there. We're not going to be able, I mean, Andrew said they're just talking about it at this point. It's just being said that, hey, we're going to do this. So we might not see anything about it for close to a year before we even hear who's attached, what's going to happen. So I have a feeling we have a long time to wait, but dear God, if I see The Rock in one more fucking action movie, I'm going to kill myself. Like, I'm so
desperate.
over
He's back
it.
with WWE. You know he's desperate.
That is
Yeah,
true.
that is very true. Yeah, because he's like full on back into that. Let's keep moving on with the movie news here. Now, they announced for Sonic 3, at the end of Sonic 2, we got the little post-credit scene that Shadow is finally coming to the franchise. And this week they announced that Keanu Reeves will now be voicing him in the next Sonic movie. I'm pretty excited about this. I remember a few months ago when they were talking about who's going to voice Shadow, because they're going in. They've already been in production. I'm sorry?
I kept hearing Hayden Christensen was.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That they kept saying Hayden Christensen. I was like, oh, that's a really interesting one that could be fun. But I'm totally fine with Keanu Reeves stepping in as this personally. I don't have a huge attachment to this particular character. I didn't play a lot of the later Sonic games. I'm more just like the old school Sega stuff, just from when I was a little kid.
He's
but I know there's a lot of
Sonic.
Yes,
all
I have heard that. I've heard emo Sonic. I've heard Sonic with an assault rifle. Like
the game Shadow the Hedgehog. I felt like such a cool little kid
Sonic.
because he says the word shit in it and he used guns. I thought this was like the coolest game ever.
I've heard so much about the gun
if you
thing.
If you fall off a fucking cliff, all you hear is damn. So, like, I'm telling you, if you play that game now, you're gonna be like, this is the stupidest fucking thing. Like, but at the time, as a kid, you're like, this is so fucking badass. Like, I mean, I'm not kidding when I say it's emo Sonic. Like, the opening cutscene is so dark. It's like, bro, stop. Like, you're chasing after fucking rings, bro. Chill. Like,
it's the Scarlet Spider from Spider-Verse. He's like, I'm so depressed.
I just have one thing to say about this casting. I think it's perfect, and
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna hear
nice.
I can hear Keanu Reeves' voice.
It's perfect, and also because it's one of those, like, again, I don't have the same attachment to this character as you guys do, but as we know, Keanu Reeves doesn't always talk a ton in his roles.
He just
he just he'll just say one line and everything like that. So like maybe they'll probably do the same thing with this, because I would imagine this character is probably not going to have massive dialogue throughout the film, that sort of thing. So I think that's probably a really good choice. Brandon, clearly you have an attachment to this character. What do you think?
Yeah, not like a super big attachment to it, but But I played the games, and I played them not too long ago. I mean, I booted up a emulator and was playing Shadow
Sonic
the
Adventure
Hedgehog.
Battle 2?
Huh?
Sonic Adventure Battle 2?
That too.
That's a fantastic.
Yeah, great game. But yeah,
is that the one where he has a girlfriend?
There's a couple of those.
That's when Sonic meets Shadow for the first time.
Oh, okay. I just know there's one where he has like an anime girlfriend that's like human or something like that.
I remember that.
There's
Shadow the Hedgehog.
Is that what it was?
I believe it was.
Okay. I'm sorry, Brandon. Please continue.
Yeah, it's all good. No, I'm happy about the casting. I think he's a good one. It could be another thing to fill, the the box office numbers just because Keanu. Yeah.
I mean, he's not a huge like box office draw, though. You know what I mean? Like the John Wick movies.
I think
Let me
I think he
preface.
absolutely is, though.
What?
let me just say this. It's when the first John Wick movie came out, it did not make money. No one knew what that was. They didn't go to the movie to
but
see
now
Keanu
it
Reeves. Like, and the last Matrix movie didn't do that well in theaters. They built a franchise around Keanu, like with John Wick, but it was the world that they created that got the butts in the seats. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, man. I can't compare those really so much. The first John Wick, because that was the first of the franchise, and from what everybody knew off the bat, it's just another popcorn flick. And then it shocked everybody. By John Wick 3 or 4, he was a household name, even almost as more so than when he was in the Matrix. Matrix, the and we talked about this on another show where the last Matrix one was severely fucking snubbed by, and it wasn't anybody's fault but COVID, really. I mean, it was stupid that they released it the way that they did, but that hurt it. I think now you could, if you put Keanu in anything, people will go see it because they know Keanu. He's now as much of a household name, in my opinion, as some of the Avengers are. That's what I think. At least I think that it could be something like where they're trying to, throw in another famous actor who's going to draw the numbers for this. Do they necessarily need it? I don't know, because this movie and the way that they've done the last two haven't totally sucked. Like,
no, I thought they were pretty fun.
Yeah,
I
don't
really
want to say, there's so many video game adaptations. I've been talking about this
the
a
part
lot.
With the stairs where he's falling down for 10 minutes.
I've been talking about this a lot because of Fallout, bringing up, of course, video game adaptations and stuff, but Sonic stands up there as solid. It's not it's not like as great as Mario, but it's still fantastic, in its own right. I don't, there's only so much you can do in that world set, and I think
Idris Elba as Knuckles was really good.
I thought that was really good. Fantastic.
The show starts in like a week on Paramount.
Yeah, on this coming Friday, the Knuckles series on Paramount.
I didn't even know about it. Andrew sent it to me literally like 5 minutes before the show because he knows how much I love Carrie Ells. But I don't recognize the villain that Carrie Ells is playing. I think it's one they created for the series. It could be something called to the games, but I don't think so.
Who is it?
Calm down.
I forgot about that.
That was for Andrew.
I forgot about the series as a whole.
Yes, I get it. He's back. Okay. I didn't mean to say that Keanu Reeves is not a household name or that he couldn't sell a movie.
Look at the
his star power is very different now than it was obviously prior to the John Wick films. Obviously.
I want this stare to haunt your dreams for insulting my man.
Here we go.
I absolutely love Keanu. Just to be clear,
loves Keanu Reeves.
I heard that he hated. I'm just kidding.
Like he loved the John Wick movie.
You love Keanu Reeves. Prime One just announced they're doing a quarter scale John Wick and showed it.
Yes, I saw it. Brandon, you were trying to say something. I'm sorry.
I was trying to elaborate a little bit more on what you were getting at, which now I don't even remember what it was.
Probably the star power stuff and things.
No,
like that.
It wasn't.
It was about the show, Brandon.
Yeah. Knuckles. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know anything about it other than it was announced. So if there's a trailer or something, what the villain were you talking about?
I don't know. It's Carrie Ells is playing. I don't remember the villain's name, but it's like
Carrie Ells on Instagram posted a character poster of his character from the series today, saying, "Hey, the series is dropping on Friday. I'm in it." Something like that.
Are they doing all of it at once, or is it weekly?
I think it's all at once.
Probably all at once. I feel like that would be a smart move for a series like that because it's also a mini series. I think it's only like 6 episodes.
6
or something like that.
episodes is what it said.
So yeah, it would really, in my opinion, make sense to just drop it all at once for that one.
I know what I'm doing Friday.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I loved Idris Elba as Knuckles. I thought that was great.
I think there'll be a good balance with, because you talked about how Keanu is very much like very limited amounts of dialogue, but the dialogue he does have is very like poignant and like kind of poetic. Where
he always knows how to deliver it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna have Knuckles, who's like very much a monologuist. So having like Idris Elba, I think it's gonna balance.
Knuckles
out really
to me,
well.
especially in that last movie, was how Dave Bautista was in the first Guardians. Their characters were very much the same for that. Or it was like he doesn't get sarcasm, he doesn't understand some social cues, things like that. But I love that in like strong characters. It's always funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're all pretty much looking forward to this. The first two movies were pretty dang solid, and I expect nothing less from the third one. My favorite thing for this will always be that they listened to the fans after that first trailer dropped, and they're like, "We gotta fix this. No teeth, no human teeth." Let's move on to our next. Sorry, I'm just cracking up.
I want to jump into the two reviews.
Well, we got two more things. I think we'll have time.
I didn't even see that. My bad.
It's all good. So the next thing we have here, we have the new Avatar spinoffs that are going to be coming. I don't know, not sooner rather than later, but within the next couple of years. Ashley and I actually just finished Avatar: The Last Airbender for the first time, the animated series today. And we both really enjoyed it. We're going to probably get started on The Legend of Korra. Now, most of these announcements were all coming from Paramount. Paramount killed CinemaCon last week. While people were dropping some trailers and things like that, as far as announcing stuff, Paramount was just boom, 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 boom. And this was another one. They've got multiple Avatar projects in the works. I think it's a trilogy of movies based on continuation of like Aang and those characters. They've got a Kyoshi Avatar movie. They've got a Zuko film and a Legend of Korra sequel series all in development because the original creators of the series were brought into Paramount Studios and actually started Avatar Studios to give them free reign of pretty much anything they wanted to do in the Avatar world. Now, they were originally involved with the live action version of it on Netflix, but left during the middle of the project due to creative differences. Clearly, they have the reins to do whatever they want now, and I think this is probably for the best. There's been mixed reviews on the live action one, but this has nothing to do with them. That is separate. Netflix is his own thing. This will all be animated features and things like that. Now, Brandon, Josh, have you all seen Avatar at all or have any opinions on this?
Bits and pieces, but not like all the way through in one go. I know enough to know what has gone on and what happens in the characters and who they are and that sort of thing. But yeah, that's about as far as I've done.
Well, I'd say if you're ever interested, it's an easy watch. It's only like 50 something episodes. It's nothing too long. And while a couple of episodes are like extended, most of them are obviously like 20 minutes because it's a kid's show. Or it was on a kids network. I hate saying that it's a kids show like that because honestly, like it reaches a lot of different markets, in my opinion. Josh, any opinions on your front?
No, I never really watched it at all growing up, and I haven't watched the Netflix stuff at all. And it's just not something that ever really caught my attention or anything like that. And as far as the only I don't know, is it considered an anime?
It is.
Essentially, yeah.
The only anime I've ever really been able to get into is Berserk. But aside from that, I have a hard time, really. So, I get flack all the time for not watching Attack on Titan or One Piece. But
yes, you should.
The only thing that really grabbed me is Berserk because I think that's just a phenomenal story and a great storyline and whatnot. But unfortunately,
I mean, I get you on that. I'm not really, and neither one of us are an anime person. We watch what we call beginner animes. Like this, Inuyasha, Sailor Moon, those type of Pokemon. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's as beginner as it gets, in my opinion, is that one. But that level of anime or watching Studio Ghibli films.
My son was arguing because on Friday he was binging X-Men 97. And he kept telling me this is an anime, and I was like, this is not an anime. Just because it's animated, it's not an anime.
I mean, I'll give him that. Some of the animation is anime-esque, though.
That's what he said. It looks like an anime, but I'm like, it's not an anime. It's X-Men.
Like that Goblin Queen sequence, it's straight out of Sailor Moon.
Yeah,
it's straight out of Sailor Moon. And there's some, but the way that they're layered with that 2D animation style with the bold lines and stuff like that, it does remind me of some animes that
I
I've
will say,
seen.
and then also, which we're talking. Everybody's seen episode 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The scene with Gambit with right when he's like stabbed and his body's
Yeah,
just
stabbed in the side. Yeah,
that looked very. And they did the whole like shot where it's just his mouth and he grins. That
Yeah.
was a little anime type of look to it.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
For sure. Okay, well,
But,
since I'm apparently the only other person that cares about this subject, like Andrew said, you know, we're not super deep into like true anime as most people are. You know, we're not watching Beast Slayer and all that other stuff. So,
Shame.
Beast Slayer?
That's my favorite anime. Beast Slayer.
You mean Demon Slayer?
Demon Slayer, yeah, sorry.
Doesn't
I don't know.
compete with Beast Slayer though.
I don't know. As you can see, we don't watch.
Yeah,
these
you gotta
things.
make a short out of that.
Oh Lord. Yeah. So like beginner anime. So I had never been into Avatar. I remember when the live action movie came out like 10 years ago. Didn't really care about it then. You know, this was the first time and it had really piqued our interest. We saw like the promo for like Legend of Korra and we're like, well, this looks kind of interesting, but of course we're gonna have to watch Avatar before we do watch Korra because of course it's a continuation and it's super cute, like, but it definitely deals with some dark themes. There's definitely it's the reason I think it kept our attention is because it's the classic animation from back in the day where we weren't tiptoeing through harsh subjects. It deals with a lot of like kind of like finding yourself and your path and you know grief and death and loss and like all
family trauma,
like
generational trauma, you know.
True, yeah, no, so it wasn't being dumbed down for the audience like so many kids shows are nowadays. So that's why I agree with Andrew. It's not a kid show in that traditional sense. It was really good. So yeah, if you guys do have spare time, it's something that kind of grabs you. There's definitely moments where it's a little goofy and silly. And I think that's to kind of just balance out some of the more like serious tones and moments that are going on. So
I mean, but they all kind of do that at times. Like, you know,
Yeah.
especially the beginner ones, like Inuyasha would do that at times too. Like with, especially with the animal characters and things
Yeah.
like that. But it's just because at the end of the day, it was on a kids network, so you got to
for
be able
sure.
to
So
keep the kids' attention too.
Berserk, I'll watch Avatar.
I'm sorry,
If y'all watch Berserk, I'll watch Avatar.
I will consider it.
is that the one with all the like muscly dudes like just berserking out? I guess I don't know.
No,
Great description.
No, it is a very, very graphic, very, very bloody and dark graphic anime.
Okay, but this has nothing to
Is-
do with Berserker, the one that Keanu Reeves the comic. right?
No.
Okay.
But isn't there another Berserker that's like a manga that's like essentially like Van Helsing? Is that what it's based off of?
It's two separate things. I mean, the
Oh,
books,
okay.
the manga books look similar. The Berserk one's black with the red writing, and the one you're talking about is red with black. So they look like
okay.
the same, but they're two separate things.
Two
Oh,
separate
okay.
things.
All right.
Gotcha.
Well, I'll look into it and I'll let you know.
But as far
let's
as
hit.
what's
Oh, go ahead.
coming, I was just gonna say, but as far as what we were talking about what's coming, I'm super hyped, really excited to see the continuation of the story. And based off the image they gave us, it looks like they're going to be following the same style of animation. So I'm super excited about that. So I don't know. I'm here for all of it. I need the few lingering questions answered every freaking time. I swear to God.
You get that, I get the cat.
I think what you need to do from now on is turn your like rotating thing off. I think maybe.
I
is what
guess.
you- All right, let's hit our last movie and TV subject of the day with movie news. We've got an announcement of a live-action R-rated Last Ronin movie coming down the pipeline. I have mixed feelings about this. I am incredibly happy that they are adapting The Last Ronin because it is an amazing story. I am very nervous at the fact that it is live action. What I would have preferred is an animated style, even like a anime style version of this story adapted, whether it made it to the big screen or was even like a straight to VOD or streaming type of thing, I would have taken it. I'm super nervous about them doing live action with this because there's just so much that could go wrong. And I'm glad that they're willing for it to be rated R because it has to be rated R. But like I said, there's just something about the live action thing gives me a lot of pause. Now, as I know, Ashlyn knows a little bit about it. I know you haven't read it. Josh or Brandon, have either one of you come across this story at all?
I saw it, and my only opinion is, unless it's The Rock playing him, I don't want to see it.
Oh my god.
Unless it's The Rock or Chris Hemsworth, I don't care.
If either one of those come to fruition, I will punch you in the face.
They are the key to success. Either The Rock or better yet, even John Cena. John Cena can.
Oh my god! Stop it, Josh! You're gonna make him have a heart attack.
If it's not any of those three, I'm out.
I hate you so much. Brandon, do you have any real thoughts on this? For the love of God,
those are real thoughts.
It's good that they're making it R-rated. I'd say
Yeah.
that's a step in the right direction. But like you, this needs to be animated. And I would say they should have done a darker tale of like what we saw with that last Turtles movie, like that animation style, but bloody. So that'd be my thoughts.
You're
but
saying the Mutant Mayhem one?
Yeah, like that style of animation, but way darker. And
I would say that for you guys, even if, or anyone out there, even if you're not a massive Ninja Turtles fan, seek out the trade for The Last Ronin and read it. It is not just like a good Ninja Turtle story, it is a fantastic story in its own right. It is super well done, and I'm not even super versed in the Ninja Turtles comics and everything like that. Obviously, I grew up with the Ninja Turtles. I am a fan. Watched some of the animated series when I was a kid, saw the movies, all blah, blah, blah. But it is just such a well done story. And that's why I was really excited to see that this was announced, but just super nervous about the way that they're going about it. Ashlyn, your thoughts?
I trust your opinions. I agree that it should be animated. It feels weird to do it as a live action. I know the live action ones have been kind of hit or miss for people with the previous movies. So I just feel like this story would be really hard to do live action and do it right. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe somebody will set them straight and stop it before it gets to live action and change the direction and move it animated. We can only hope. But yeah, no, I trust your judgment on that.
That's the one problem is that everyone I keep saying that's like, oh, this is awesome. I know they haven't actually read the comic.
Yeah.
I know they didn't actually read the fucking comic. I'm sorry for cussing, but I'm actually getting upset thinking about it. Like, it's just like I even a couple of times was like, hey, I'm kind of happy this happened too. Have you read the comic? No, not a single person I've seen that's talking about it actually knows the story, because anyone that does understands this is not really going to work in the live action sphere. But yeah. I'm not gonna like harp too much on this. We've got some reviews to do here, so let's go ahead and jump into it. Now we've got quite a bit. We're going to talk about episodes 4, 5, 6, mostly 5 and 6 of X-Men 97. Some really big episodes. Obviously, I'll just do a quick thing with episode 4. It was kind of it's a half and half episode. It's kind of I don't want to say a throwaway, but it was a fun episode for the first half. I loved the callbacks, especially if you've seen any of the original series. There's a lot of like greatest hits moments, but like done in like a video game style. They were just trying to have fun with it. The whole like, Sega Genesis video game system thing was fun. The Motendo, I think is what they called it. Loved that. They actually got the original voice of Jubilee to come back and voice the like second Jubilee that was like in the video game. So that's kind of fun. Second half of the episode is where we get the first half of Storm's like rebirth story and everything like that, and her just kind of like trying to get her powers back. Anybody have anything to say on episode 4 before we move forward?
Nah, you pretty much
Not
hit
really.
it. I felt the same way. It was kind of a throwaway.
Yeah, honestly, they should, in my opinion, they shouldn't have split it up between 4 and 6.
Yeah.
It should have been back to back.
Yeah.
And they should have just done Storm's story as one episode, in my opinion. But anyway, let's move on to the episode that everyone has talked about the last couple weeks, episode 5. Now, this is a massive episode with a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, spoilers. We're talking spoilers on both these reviews, so please keep that in mind. I'm just going to jump straight to it. The death of Gambit is one of the greatest superhero things I think I've ever seen. That whole sequence of them fighting the Sentinels, you've got Magneto's part in it, Rogue, Gambit, everything, every part of it works so well. It's so emotional and powerful and impactful. The line that Magneto says to I forget the term, but like the little
The
mutant that's in front of him.
underdwellers, I think.
Yeah,
is what-
it's not that, but you're close. Is he says, do not be afraid, I think is what it was, like in German, as they're wiped out. And then you've got the sequence with, of course, Gambit taking out the Mega Sentinel or whatever it's called, and his final line. And when I tell you what, I saw that episode as soon as it dropped, like shortly after 3 a.m. because I don't sleep sometimes, and I watched it, and that final thing played out, and I just sat there staring at my TV for like 15 minutes because I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? I wasn't even like emotional because I was processing. I was so taken back by that whole thing. And then when I rewatched it with Ashlyn the next morning, of course I knew what was going to happen. I was just like waiting to see what would happen to her. That's when the emotions hit me. I actually started crying watching it a second time, because especially the last part with Rogue, when she does that, like essentially like almost like a callback line with the whole WandaVision thing, is people keep drawing the correlation to, is I can't heal you.
Mm-hmm.
And that fucking broke me, man.
They knew what they were doing with the whole breakup scene. I think that's why it hit so hard. Because
that too, and the fact that like he doesn't know that she chose him in the end instead of Magneto and everything like that. I keep hearing people say that like X-Men 97 is a soap opera, but in the best way possible type of thing. Like they're using some of the soap opera tropes like mixed in with the superhero stuff. But obviously, I could talk about this for quite a while, and a lot of people have. Let's get some other opinions on this. I want to jump into a Rogue and Gambit fan here. Ashlyn, what did you think of episode 5 of the X-Men?
Oh, man. So as Andrew's sitting there crying, I'm sitting there just like in disbelief, and he's just like looking at me like, are you okay? Like,
she's in straight denial is what it is.
Like, I was just like, this shit isn't real. Like, I'm just waiting for Cable to pop out somewhere. I'm like, okay, Cable's gonna come back and fix this. This bullshit is not gonna stand. Like, obviously it's gonna get fixed. Like, I am refusing to accept the outcome that happened on Genosha and everything like that.
She's literally walking around the house going, nope, this isn't real. Nope, I will not stand for it. Just like
I do not accept this reality. So, but definitely, I want to go back and rewatch it just for the emotionality, because I only saw it the one time, and then we went into episode 6. So I was just like, I don't know, man, the emotions. And then seeing on social media how other people were reacting to it, and that Lenore like put out a whole statement to everyone telling them they're going to be okay. All I know is Disney's lawyers are going to need to pay for a lot of therapy, because we're really not okay right now. Like, people were genuinely not okay. Like, took it like it was real life. And I don't know what that says about all of us traumatized millennials taking this shit so seriously. But no, it was breathtaking to watch in the best and worst way at the same time. Anytime Genosha's like involved with stuff, it's always going to be an emotional episode, I feel like. And it just, it was honestly probably one of the best episodes of an animated series of all time. Like, it was so well done. It was so emotional and impactful, and just, I don't think I'm ever gonna recover from the emotional trauma of it. I also just, again, don't think Gambit's dead. I think this is definitely something that we're gonna come back to. Somehow Cable's gonna turn around and fix this. I just don't think that they're gonna kill off their star boy like that. And especially with all the hype built around the Rogue and Gambit storyline, I just think they're going to cause us more turmoil and trauma as we go through to episode 7, 8. Maybe this isn't going to get fixed till season 2. I don't know. But I mean, I'll kill them if they make me wait that long. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised.
Josh, what did you think?
Well, I have two things. One,
Yep.
you know, would be really, really cool, because
What?
I've heard people kind of put pieces together that would make sense. What if, because they make you think it's Sinister that's behind this, but what if it ends up, because this ends close to when Deadpool starts, what if this is the villain of Deadpool? What if she's the what caused these events, and that was why she was sent to
That's
the void?
exactly what I was going to say.
Cassandra Cain.
Yeah, Cassandra Nova. What if she's
Nova,
the one that caused all this to happen on X-Men 97, which might not be, but that'd be like a cool connection between the two.
It would be. It would be.
And that's why she's in the void. So maybe we'll get that. But the other thing, the episode may kind of relive Infinity War kind of to a degree. Not to that extent. I still feel like Infinity War had a much bigger, just because we've been following these movies for like 10 years now.
Yeah, it's a different situation.
But like it was still that similar vibe to it. Like, damn, like you were just kind of like, well, shit, they really just fucking went.
Yeah. You walk out of the theater and everyone's just fucking quiet, that moment.
It was just, I think what really did it was that whole scene with Rogue and Gambit. Like she broke up with him because she wanted to have that physical touch with somebody, and then she realized that, that wasn't it. And she broke the man's heart. He had to watch her dancing up there with Magneto. Speaking of Magneto, nobody's even considered if Magneto's dead or not. Everybody's just talking about.
Yeah. I think because we didn't actually see him. I know.
Yeah, but people he would have got. I guarantee he's still alive. But people just kind of brush that off for Gambit, which I get it. But I think it must have made it more impactful, because you just saw the man get his heart broken, and then he dies, and he dies in the most epic way.
Oh yeah,
one of the most epic ways out there. But I think it was a fantastic episode. 6 was really good. It was cool getting Storm's story, and how now it's finally, because we got 2 episodes left.
No, I think there's 12 episodes this season. I thought, but I could be wrong. I have to double check.
I think it was more because this ends right around the time Deadpool starts, which is why I think it'd be cool if they had that connection.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of people clamoring for them to, if it's not already, for them to find a way to bridge it into the universe, the multiverse. I mean, type of thing. There's a lot of people calling for it.
I heard Kevin Feige saying they were always back and forth if they want to make this part of the MCU. I think they should just do what they're doing with Fox, make this its own universe, and then do the whole. If you want to combine the two, do it through the whole multiversal aspect of it.
Yeah.
But it would be cool if the X-Men 97 cast, which I doubt it because it's already been renewed for 2 more seasons, ended up being our 616 after the multiverse stuff. It went to live action, but I doubt that's going to happen. But that's wishful thinking. But the show
that would be interesting. Brandon, I saved you for last because you just caught up with everything going on, and obviously we'll get to episode 6 a little bit more here in just a second, but because you essentially binged everything up until this point, I want to hear just a little bit of what have been your thoughts leading up into episode 5 and as well as episode 5.
So starting off, I kind of found it hard to get into because, and I talked to you a little bit about this, where it was specifically episode 1 and 2. It was you guys have been fans of this for a long time. I'm fresh to it. So I threw myself into it knowing absolutely nothing of the old series from the 90s. This was a very fresh thing, and I felt like I was thrown into a world. And yes, I know the characters from the live action stuff, but this is to me something completely different. The nothing from the live action to me translates to these sets of characters. So to me, it feels like a brand new world of new Marvel characters. So it's a lot to digest for somebody who gets thrust into that immediately. That's not in any way, shape, or form to say it's bad. It is fantastic. I love what I've seen so far. The leading up to it, with the exception of that 4th episode with the whole video game tie-in thing, that was really, like, to me, very boring. But I understand why it's there and why the significance was there. It was, to me, that was just, if there was like a worse one to pick, that one would be it.
I think everyone would agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I ended up really liking the series more than I thought I would so far. And then the episode,
Yes.
the last episode was fantastic. And immediately, dude, like, Josh already kind of spoiled what I was gonna say on it, but it was very anime-esque. And it tied a lot, like, it felt like watching. I'm not gonna spoil it if you ever do see it, but the part 1 of the Attack on Titan finale, you will understand what I mean if you ever do go through it. It is very, very much like that. However, I love listening to you two specifically talk about it, Andrew and Ashlyn, because it didn't hit me as hard, because I haven't been there from the get-go, watching all that, growing up with it, and having that such, following specifically Gambit and Rogue as long as you guys have. So it didn't hit me at hard, and I didn't realize until, like, looking up a little bit more afterwards how big of a deal that was. Like, I was looking at it and just seeing, like, the face value of the fantastic animation and the fight scenes, and yes, the emotionality behind the whole I can't feel you part. And yes, I was like, that's Scarlet Witch, but so it was like, yeah, it didn't hit me as hard, but it was very, very solid all the way through. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what comes next. I'm a little curious about, like, the whole Professor X side of this, because I was under the assumption dude just died, and I'm like, why is he on a planet? Like, there's still so many questions that I have there.
I knew that.
We all have questions about that.
Okay, all right. Oh, cool. Okay, so I'm not alone there.
Yeah,
yeah.
I figured y'all were about to come out.
Episode 6 was going to confuse you, Brandon, because that's all tied back in to, like, 92, which is funny because that's, like, I was talking to Andrew about it. That's, like, my least favorite part of the original series is all the stuff with the, I can't remember,
alien races,
the alien race people.
Shi'ar Empire.
I was following it enough to understand, like, where he's at and what he's doing. It's how he got there and what the fuck the point was that he's there. Like, that's where I'm just, like, a little thrown off.
Yeah,
so,
they kind of just mulled over that one.
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, we saved him. Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I figured, like, y'all were about to come out and be like, oh, yeah, no, this is why it's like that. But, like,
no,
unfortunately,
I'll say this.
Okay.
I will say this. I'm really glad that I got Ross McCord's autograph now for Professor X, now that he's actually coming back to the fray. So I'm pretty happy about that one. But let's go ahead. Like, let's continue to talk about episode 6 here. Now, like, what we're saying with the whole Shi'ar Empire thing, there's some people that I'm sure really enjoy it. Ash on me, not so much. Like, watching the original 92 series, that was our least favorite stuff that would come into play. Unfortunately, it plays a lot into, like, the Dark Phoenix saga, or, well, the Phoenix saga in general, and some of the other stuff that transpires throughout the series. We don't really like getting too much into the, like, celestial intergalactic type stuff. I'd much rather stay homeward bound, if you will, with the X-Men.
Of course, with 97, somehow this ties into the Kree Empire, and Ronin is there, and so that was out.
Yeah, I mean, that part was a little cool to see, because they, like, see some characters that we've gotten to know because of the MCU. Like, obviously, comic fans know all this stuff, but now, the everyday people have some point of reference other than just comics that they can kind of, like, oh, yeah, I remember that, or I remember that character, and stuff like that.
I have no idea how he ties into all of this other than they exist together in the MCU, so I don't know if that's going to, like, be a tie-in as far as like
I think it
the
was more just
fighting
like
MCU
I think it was more just
or-
like tying in the Marvel universe as a whole, but in the
Yeah.
animated sphere and like
Maybe.
what people know from the comics. I don't know if that's going to necessarily have a huge play into the story going forward, or at least for now.
Yeah.
That might be a down the line type of thing, like if they want to do some scrolls type stuff. Not necessarily Secret Invasion, but in that vein. But as far as that part of the episode, episode 6 was good too. I didn't like the constant jump back and forth between the two storylines personally.
Yeah, me too.
I would have almost rather them do what they did before and do like even two halves of an episode, as much as I'm not that big of a fan of that either. But constantly jumping back and forth between the Storm story and the Professor X thing, not a huge fan of that. But all that matters in that sense is that he's coming back. But I want to get to the good stuff, which is Storm. We finally get her, rebirth moment. Ashlyn's very excited that she's finally got the black suit now instead of the white suit. We're getting to that goddess look that they keep, because they keep saying she's a goddess and everything like that. And just love that. Josh, what did you think of this episode? Is there anything that like stood out to you besides what we were talking about?
No, I thought the episode was fantastic. It's hard to compete with episode 5. I feel like people are wanting another kind of oh shit moment like that. But I think
or
that's
at least a continuation of what happened.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think the reason why they split the Storm and Professor X thing like that is 'cause I feel like they're trying, because now towards the end of the episode, everybody's seeing what happened on Genosha. So now it's finally all starting to come together. So I feel like they kind of like not in a way kind of rush those two storylines to get it to the juicy stuff where everybody's going to go to Genosha now and figure out what the hell's going on and who the actual big bad is. I knew that part was going to happen because somebody, I forget what stream I was watching, but somebody spoiled that's because of comics. That's what they were going towards. I'm like, oh, okay, well that's cool. But so far, man, I'm absolutely loving it. I don't remember. Like, I was confused by the Professor X stuff, too, because it's been a while since I watched the 92 stuff. Like, I was a kid when I was watching that. But I saw an image today. I guess she was in the original series and everything, and they did have some kind of relationship from what I saw, because I saw a bunch of images from older episodes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like it was like a non-starter. It was like they wanted to be together, but she eventually leaves because she has to go protect the Shi'ar Empire because both her siblings are crazy, which is why Blackbird was never even in the original series up until
No, she was.
She was okay.
Like one episode or something like that.
Yeah. Like most of it is the lady's brother which is what leads into the whole Phoenix saga and everything like that. But yeah, so it was kind of like a non-starter relationship. It was like they always wanted to be together, but couldn't be, So.
She kind of sounds awful if you think about it. She was wanting basically to lobotomize the man to prove his love for her people.
Right?
Right, yeah.
It's kind of messed up. And I don't know. But I think I'm especially after our nice interview with some of the cast members like Cal Dodd on Toy Quest the other day. It's making me
shout out to Toy Quest 101. If you guys don't know, Josh and I and Ashlyn feature on there quite often. And this last week we interviewed Cal Dodd, voice of Wolverine, and I feel bad. I can't remember. I know it's Goy or Guy. Is it Guy? I can't remember. Guy. Sorry, my brain is fried. And I don't know his last name, but the voice of Sunspot was also featured on the show. So be sure to check out that newest episode. Just want to make sure we plug that. Go ahead, Josh.
No, it's just making me appreciate more as a whole. I'm starting to actually refresh my memory. Because like I said, I was a kid watching this because I was born in 95. So I was born when it was pretty much already practically done. But
just reruns at that point. Yeah,
it was still airing on like Saturday mornings and stuff. So I remember watching as a kid, and it's been a minute. So now I'm going back and rewatching it, and it's making me like reappreciate the whole thing all over again. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited. I thought there was only 2 more episodes, but if there's 12,
I could be wrong. I don't know,
because they said it ends right around the time Deadpool starts, so that would make sense. But I guess
gotcha. Yeah, I mean, and to be clear, Ashlyn and I did see some of this when we were kids, but we mostly know what's going on because we went back and rewatched the original series. Still haven't finished the whole thing, but from what I've heard from even the cast of the original, you don't have to have seen every single episode to understand. But I feel like if you watch at least the first 2 seasons, you can get the bulk of what you need to know.
Yeah, the third season is where it started losing us. It got way too weird, too much going on outside of Earth, and it was just, I don't know, felt like it lost its
first
way.
2 seasons, it was definitely more like picking up from those type of story points. I feel like, other than obviously at the very end when Professor X dies. Ashlyn, your thoughts on the transformation of Storm before we move on?
I'm just excited that she got her powers back. I love how they addressed, the spirit coming back and, of course, torturing her again, and like her realizing that it was her fears holding her back. I always love when we touch on mental health stuff. I think it's super important, and like the power of self and knowing who you are and learning how to especially with the fact that we're dealing with mutants and people with powers, and putting making it known that you don't have to have those powers, aren't what make you strong, aren't what make you who you are, that they can't solve all your problems. Like, they're not your cure all. Like, they don't make you who you are. Because I feel like Storm felt very lost without her powers. And so it translates really well into real life issues, like these shows always do, which is why we like them so much. So I really liked that they had her dealing with her self-doubt and things that all of us deal with all the time. So I thought that was really cool for them to go back to that. And it just made her, getting her powers back even that more impactful. And of course, as you said, I called it with the black suit thing. So that was really cool to see. And I love how like just color can be such a powerful tool of, emulating change and like just so much of that. So it was really neat to see how just something, such a small detail, can just be like her, another way to express her rebirth and her, growth and change and everything else. And I don't know, call me crazy, I just feel like the black suit just makes her look more badass and gives that whole Omega level threat more of a punch. So I don't know. That's just my interpretation.
I think a lot of people would agree with that. One last thing I wanted to say just before we move on was I meant to mention when we were talking about episode 5. Can we just talk about how Magneto has some of the best lines in this fucking series, man? Like some of his obviously his speech in like episode was it 2 or
I think 2?
Yeah, and then like some of his one-liners when he's talking about, they're like, it's not usual for a country to elect a terrorist, and he's like, and yet so many of their leaders are terrorists or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like he's got some of the dialogue in this series is just amazing. I just wanted to touch on that. But let's go ahead. We're going to talk about our last topic of the day. This was the new Fallout series. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
I saw it pop up. I was like, oh my God. The new Fallout series dropped last week, all at once, on Amazon Prime, and we've all had a chance to see it now. But we're gonna start with Fallout man himself, Brandon. Obviously, I'm sure you have some thoughts, so go ahead, man.
I don't know anything about this series at all.
That just showed up at your house one day.
Yeah. Some pre-war relic, right?
Yeah.
No, oh man, I don't even know where to begin on this whole thing. I expected this to flop so hard. Like everyone was not expecting just the bombshell, no pun intended, of how fantastic this series has been for the fans. I mean, and I knew it was going to happen. And I just want to chew out every single person I have seen on Facebook that just wants to gripe at anything little. Like the way I look at this is this needs to be the standard going forward for any video game adaptation whatsoever, movie, TV, anything. Like this is how you do it and how you do it right.
Take notes, Halo.
Huh?
Take notes, Halo.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, that was such a letdown. But yeah, I've been so like I've talked about this so much with people over the past week and a half or more. Like I haven't had a series in a while make me not want to sleep because I want to go to the next episode and see what is next. From the get-go, and things you guys who have not played the games in depth that wouldn't have known, there from every single episode there was at least 1 or 2 songs that was from the game. Every single episode. That was huge for me because it's like they listened to fans. Almost every single shot was something you could pick up off the ground in Fallout, whether it was a snack or a Coke can or Nuka-Cola can or bottle or anything. It was just all there. It made me actually feel like I was in a new version of a Fallout game watching this. The story is as gruesome. Like the first 10 minutes, I was like, this is so fucking stupid. And then it was like, boom. It's just let me rephrase that real quick. The opening scene had me like, that is Fallout. And then they started going into the depths of like the actual vault. And I was like, this seems cheesy. This seems like kind of stupid. And then when she gutted the dude with the freaking broken bottle, I was like, there's Fallout right there. Yes, that is Fallout, where it's gory. I didn't know how much gore this was going to have. And they did it so right. The story, starting off in the vault, they did that classic shot where it's like, and I might have said this on the podcast before. When I started playing Fallout, was 3. I didn't know what I was buying. I bought the game because the box art looked cool. And I played through, you start off in the vault on Fallout 3. You got to, at some point, you got to exit the vault. But to me, as a player who didn't know what Fallout was, I thought the whole game was in the vault. This was in the era of Dead Space where you're going through corridors and stuff. So I thought it's kind of like that. But as soon as you exit the vault and you see that massive open world, that's really what they captured when she stepped outside of the vault the first time. So off the bat, fantastic. Going into the town of like Philly was very reminiscent of the first time you go into Megaton on Fallout 3. So there's a lot of callbacks to that. And I know I've seen people online that have said that it's very reminiscent of Megaton as well. Minus, of course, a big bomb being in the middle of it. But yeah, the way that you see the vendors and they're trading with caps and stuff like that, it's all so very much what Fallout is. I think the reason why they had such great success with this whole franchise has to be because Todd Howard was at the front of this. And if you don't know who Todd Howard is, he's the leader of Bethesda, the studio that makes Fallout and Elder Scrolls. And he is a diehard fan as well. And he's made comments in interviews already past the release of this that has said every single person on staff is a massive Fallout fan. And that's the only way it had success. So going back to my original point on this has to be the standard going forward, where you have to have fans at the forefront making this game, because if you don't, you're susceptible to something like a Halo TV adaptation or an Assassin's Creed movie, where it's just like you build up the hype for the fans and then you're completely letting them down.
The Last of Us was the same way. They had their people involved with the game and fans make that.
Yeah.
It was a success. So they should both be like you said, the standard on how to do it. You need actual fans and bring the people who are involved with the game to make it too.
Yeah, there is. I'll say this too. There's a meme floating around, and it's the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing meme, but the guy's in a vault suit. It's like that was me this whole show. I was like, holy, what? It's like everything was just calling back. And Kat's never seen or never played a Fallout game, so it was cool watching her like really get sucked in as well.
I was wondering what like her reaction was.
She
because
loved
it. Didn't really seem like her cup of tea.
No,
she
loved it, and I was she was the one like, oh, we need to watch the next one. I'm like, yes,
that's
we
how
do.
We were up till like 4 a.m. to finish it. We
so
watched
good.
it straight through, and it was just like, because again, Andrew and I have never played it, and Andrew's like, I could never do this as a video game. All the tight spaces and everything.
You say that now, bro, but I'm telling you, it is so like that type of storytelling, the games even do it better. I mean, and
No, it's not. It's not that I don't think the story points wouldn't be able to keep me or anything like that. It's just I'm a huge bitch when it comes to video games. Like my least favorite things are like when it's tight quarters and you got the creatures. So like I love the Halo games, right? Like the story ones, not the multiplayer. My least favorite levels are the ones with the flood. I hate them. I hate those ones.
then I would seriously give Fallout a shot because there's way
Yeah.
tight corridors than you may think it is. It's a giant open world, and the thing is, you could get very overwhelmed by how much there is to do. But if you stick to the main quests and the good side quests, you're solid, man. I mean, you play it how you want. That's the beauty about those games.
Yeah.
But back to the TV series, just like before I ramble off entirely on the whole tangent, the fan service on the last 2 episodes alone was phenomenal. You have what looks, I mean, you see like the factions fighting before your eyes. That is something that is like 100% every single Fallout game. You have to choose a faction to align with to end the game. There's multiple endings for every single Fallout game. And you see that with the Brotherhood of Steel. You see it with Lucy. You see it with Maximus a lot because he doesn't really know what he wants to be as like a good guy, a bad guy. He just wants to be important. And it's reminiscent of other side characters in the Fallout series as well.
So do you feel like they followed Maximus's character correctly for the games to the TV adaptation?
No, hold on, because that is so. These are all new characters.
Oh, okay.
None of these people are in the Fallout. I wanted to save that for the last point, but none of these people that you're seeing, that you're following. The Ghoul, you're not Cooper, the Kyle MacLachlan's character. I can't remember his name. The dad in the
he's in the game.
No, he's not.
Isn't there a Ghoul who's like a bounty hunter like him in one of the games?
I'm sure there is, but it's not him. I know that for a fact. These are all fresh characters. The only person that was a character that I might be wrong on this, but I'm pretty damn sure I'm not. The only person that was actually in the game was Mr. House, and you don't even know who that is when I just said that. At the round table where you see the Vault Tech all planning out, saying we should drop the bombs, is in the last episode. When he was spying on his wife, there's a man sitting there with a plate that says Robco on it. And you saw another guy that had Big Mountain. Those are all companies that are in Fallout. Big Mountain was a DLC in New Vegas in Fallout New Vegas called Old World Blues. Fan favorite, of course, but Robco, that was the big one, was when you see Mr. House sitting there and you're like, I was like, what the fuck? Because Mr. House is the leader of New Vegas. And just some backstory, I know you don't know much about New Vegas. That is the pinnacle of Fallout is New Vegas. That's what
damn
near
everybody's what they alluded to at the end of the series, right?
That is exactly where they went, and it's like, what the fuck? But there's so many questions because people don't know which is the canon ending for New Vegas, because you can end it in 4 separate ways. You could just technically, like in a manner of speaking, destroy New Vegas if you want. You can become the leader. Mr. House can remain the leader of New Vegas and take over like everything, or you can have a separate faction that is all just maniacal cult following take over New Vegas. Like it all ended on the Battle of Hoover Dam, which is the ending to New Vegas. But there is no canon ending, because you can end it however you want in like 5 different ways. So the fact that you walk up and you see New Vegas and it's kind of like destroyed, there's no lights on the strip, there's nothing like that. It leaves so much to question, but that like was the perfect way to end it, because it's tying it right where fans want it, which is New Vegas. There's a lot of questions to be answered, and there's this one hang up everybody is stuck on right now. This takes place after New Vegas, but there's a board that Lucy saw in Vault 4 that one, you had the new California Republic flag, which is one of the factions in New Vegas, and she pulled it open, and you're just like, oh my god, that was just fan service upon fan service. But there's a part on that board where it showed Sandy Shades,
Sandy
man.
Shades, right?
Sandy
Shady-
Shades, yeah, sorry,
Shady Sands.
Shady
Shady
Sands, sorry.
Sands.
We'll get
They
there.
showed it.
We'll
They
get there.
showed it destroyed on a certain date, and like in New Vegas, you can still go to Shady Sands and blah blah blah. And people are like, "That's not like the bomb didn't fall on Shady," and they're like trying to nitpick it. Todd Howard's already come out and said, "We didn't say we nuked it." Like, there's going to be people complaining about everything. Long story and long rambling short, that was by far the best thing I've watched all year. And that is, I will go to my grave on saying that is the best game adaptation I've ever seen, period. So I'm ecstatic that they announced that Amazon picked it up for a season 2. And if they keep this direction going and Todd Howard makes this a focal point on top of finishing Elder Scrolls 6, then we are in for some seriously good cinema and fan service for the Fallout community. Everybody I know of that has watched it has been like, that is fantastic. And the people I know that have played the games for years, like myself, that nobody is saying anything negative about this, with the exception of one friend of mine who you can't please. But is your dog sneezing?
That's the dog.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, yeah, man. That clip, that was such a cliffhanger to leave the fans on. With just seeing New Vegas, that was so much of what I was not expecting, but like absolutely loved. So I have I could go on for hours about this, but yeah, I'll leave it up to you guys, because I know you guys are kind of fresh to the universe, so I'm so curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Well, let me jump it over to Josh here now. Josh, have you played any of the games?
I played Fallout 4, and I'm replaying this. I mean, from what I've gathered, this reminded me a lot of Fallout 4. I feel like this season took a lot from that particular game. I haven't played New Vegas yet.
Did you notice the blimp was the Pridwin from Fallout 4?
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool.
we're replaying it right now. I just had, and my son's like, he's hooked on it right now. And it was very funny yesterday. We were trying to get him to play. He's like, no, it looks too violent. He starts playing it, and he's like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing. But as far as the show goes, I mean, I don't know how else I can top it from what Brandon said. He pretty much hit the nail on the coffin there. It was a fantastic show. I think they did a great fan service. I will say the only thing is, as much as I enjoyed it, and I might just be a bias, I did like The Last of Us more if we're comparing video game adaptations.
Bias.
That's still fair. That's still fair. I can't argue that. That's
bias
fair.
just because, like, The Last of Us is one of my it's up there with Marvel for me. It's one of my all-time favorite things. So, but that doesn't mean anything bad about the show. The show had me cracking up, especially by how casual they were about all the incest jokes. Like, they were just so about it. Like,
it's fine when you're young and messing around, but it's not something you can live off of. You know,
it's so accurate. Like, as stupid as that is, like, that's something I've always wondered in the back of my head with some of these certain vaults and having their, families and shit in there. It's like you do wonder, but they just came out and said it. Like,
that's what I assumed what the case was with the one-eyed dude. I assumed that it was that.
Yeah.
And maybe it was. We didn't get a straight answer or not, but that's what I assumed happened.
I did love how they started the show. It was very, like, it kind of hits you, like they got you like feeling for the daughter, and like, the son, the dad, his career was taken, so now he went from a movie star to doing little kids' birthday parties with the nuke going off and everything. I think that was like a fantastic start to the show.
I have a feeling that is gonna get more explained in the next season, like in flashbacks. I think it's going to be something to do with his involvement with the group at the funeral home is somehow going to lead to his downfall within Hollywood.
I think he's probably going to get labeled a communist or something like that. You know what I mean?
I think you're absolutely right, because that's one spot where they left room to expand, and they didn't answer. They knew you left off with Howard being able to spy on his wife, but you don't know where the relationship went from there and how it ended up with him.
He did.
doing
I think
birthday
there's still a
parties.
relationship there because it in the last episode, he's like, "Where's my family?" And then they kind of left that cliffhanger, like what happened to his family.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think she's still around, but I will say, I think the weirdest thing, which I don't hear people talking about it, was in Vault 4 when she goes to level 12 and you see the human people giving birth to like the fish piranhas and they
Oh
eat
my
them.
god, yes.
Like, that is so fucking weird.
That's
Like,
Vault
why?
Tech for you. I'm telling you, that's Vault Tech.
Brandon's just like, eh.
No, seriously. Like if you look at like every single vault in the game that you explore is completely different, and it's
They all have
exactly
their own
like
agenda.
they're all different, and I didn't know until the show, and they made it canon by saying this, that every single vault is left up to whatever you want it to do, and they had certain people in charge, to take. Certain companies could claim certain vaults, and you hear them talking. What's funny is every single thing that they said, like they said one that was like, I want to try a vault where, the kids have to run it and the adults are out of the picture or something like that. And that is literally a vault. Every single vault that they like spitballed in that room is an actual vault in the games. And it was just like, what the fuck? They're talking about it. Like, but that's Vault Tech. Like Vault Tech is fucked up, and they just kind of wanted to fuck with humanity. One other point that I did forget, but is a very pivotal thing for conversation, is in all of Fallout history until this show, nobody knew who dropped the first bomb. Like China and America were at it in the Battle of Alaska, and it's alluded in Fallout that China did it. But then, there's too many warheads to make that probable. But in the show, they still didn't directly say it, but they said we could drop the bombs, talking about Vault Tech doing it, and Vault Tech being the spark that ignited it for just their own purposes and their own money. And their own.
It could have very well been that he leaked that information after spying on his wife and somebody else bombed before.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
That's why his wife, but they also could be dead because he's a ghoul now. He's been around for 200 years. So unless they if they mutated somehow, they could be.
Or
dead.
if they're in the cryogenic pods.
Frozen.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
Because that's like where Andrew kept going to the fact of how is the lady from the funeral home still alive after 200 years? Like, did she find a way to extend her life somehow so that she can keep fighting this good fight? Because her whole thing was about getting the energy source.
Yeah. And I'm not completely sold on her being a good person too. I'm absolutely not. Like that I feel like is going to be a twist later on that she's actually a piece of shit. But
like the
so
dad?
far, yeah, exactly. I feel like that's I'm telling you, that's Fallout.
Well, the mom thing too. I forgot how the mom was just the dead corpse right there.
Yeah,
And that gave me so much like Walking Dead vibes with the way that she had her at the table, just as
very like a Michonne move type of thing.
Yeah. Or the governor more.
The governor, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of references with that one. But yeah, for someone coming into this knowing little to nothing of Fallout, I was pretty much hooked from the first episode. We just picked it up because I was like, like I said, I'm glad we didn't do this sooner. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had the whole series done. But we're like, we have to watch at least the first episode. We have to be able to talk about something with this. And we watched it, and I was like, damn, that was actually pretty good. And then we kept going, and it just kept getting better and better and better. And sure, like everybody's talking about, like there's still a lot of questions unanswered. There's some things that'll probably never get answered, but we'll get more as things progress with season 2, of course. Just as far as, like I said, from an outsider's perspective, really solid storytelling with this. Really amazing world building. Obviously, they have a really good point of reference. I understand that. But to bring it into the live action sphere, to not only please the fans, but to engage new new
Yeah,
fans.
they did it very, very
That
well.
is something that is so hard to do, and I think that they succeeded in spades with that. Ashlyn, obviously you as well were going to this with fresh eyes. What did you think of the
Completely
overall?
blind. I had, other than seeing the logo, I know
Well,
zero.
you saw the trailer one time, and that was about it, and
Yeah.
you had no idea what was happening. So
No, I still don't know a lot about what's happening. We got done, and I was like, okay, so I need like 2 hours of Brandon's time to understand.
I got you. I got you.
don't threaten him with a good time.
I will spit so much lore at you. I promise.
I really liked the beginning. Definitely grabbed me. It was super interesting being in that time period of like the glitz and the glamour of old Hollywood and everything like that, and kind of that
it's like the past and future at the same time.
Yeah, like with it, like he's the cowboy, so it's like that nuclear family type deal going on with like the 60s almost S type feel to it. And then the way they carried it over into, well, for Vault 33, obviously Vault 4 was more like the science thing, and so you saw that and like how they integrated, and then like but then the weird custom at the end right before Lucy leaves Vault 4 with like the blood and the human ash and everything being like, oh yeah, these people are fucked up. And then Lucy's like, you people are fucked. And she's like, everybody's fucked. She's like, every vault is fucked up. And that was really funny to me, that she's just like, every vault is messed up. Just because what we're doing is weird to you doesn't mean that what you're doing in your home isn't weird to us. So it was funny to see that kind of like for Vault 33, the nuclear family thing kind of exists even in that particular vault.
Well,
and
she learns that every single one of them is its own experiment.
I don't know how they can justify the whole giving birth to piranhas and letting the piranhas eat the lady. I don't know how.
Well, you have to remember that wasn't them specifically. That was the people that originally ran the vault, and then they took over and tried to save everyone that was being experimented on.
The shitty thing is too, Vault 4, that is like the most sane and safe vault I've seen in all of Fallout. Like just
that's
the way
unfortunate.
It is because it's like no, it's funny because like at the end of that you see I can't remember his name, but the guy what is his name? Shit, Chris Parnell's character, the one with the one eye.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, you just get to go. We don't want you to come back, but you just get, I'm like,
here's 2 weeks of supplies.
Here's 2 weeks of supplies. I'm like, that is a very sane overseer. God dang. But
yeah, no, I really
love that.
Like with the whole thing with Vault 33 and 32 and 31 and how they're all connected. And then, oh God, the guy who's a brain in a jar.
That was funny. Did you see the captions on Amazon?
No.
Like the subtitles. If you had the subtitles up,
was it Brad's Buds or something?
No, it said brain
Buds,
on a.
Buds.
It said Buds, but it said brain on a Roomba.
Brain on a Roomba.
That's great.
The whole ethos of that, because they talk about it. Like he's pitching that in the room with everyone that he wants to have these interconnected vaults. So you kind of see how that's all playing out and everything. But just the fact that the 2 of them, because of course 31 is nothing but cryogenics, but like with 32 and 33 being like the whole nuclear family cornfield, like you're in Kansas. And it's funny because you've seen the movie Blast from the Past. So when they were doing the trailer, I was like, this is literally like Blast from the Past. With being stuck down here in this nuclear family setup that they have going on, very much like the Kansas City small town values and everything. So it was just really interesting. And now obviously her dad is running off to New Vegas, and I don't know if the new California Republic has completely fallen now.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that she's died. But so I just want to see more of what's going to obviously happen to Lucy and her journey and the ghoul, and like going into the past and understanding more about his wife's involvement with Vault Tech and kind of getting more of that backstory. I gotta say the character I think I was attached to the least was Maximus and his story.
Me too.
And like the Brotherhood, it like because I feel like it's just this weird religious cult blended with military, and it's just I don't know. It just is like a whole weird thing. And then like why they're hunting the thing where they're the actual Titanus or whatever his name is like they got you out here hunting fucking toasters. Do you know what a toaster does? Like
the funny thing about the Brotherhood is it's all like specific chapters. So for instance, like in Fallout 3, they are very, very much the good guys. Like you want to side with the Brotherhood of Steel. Quick backstory is there's a water purifier that multiple factions want to get a hold of and purify all of Washington, D.C.'s water. And the Brotherhood are the only ones that want it for good intentions. And so you're wanting to move towards that. In Fallout 4, it's a little bit more questionable because they are a kind of more aligned to what you see with the show. In fact, there's some rumblings that because the Pridwin from Fallout 4 was in the show, that's going there. You're going to see the actual leader of Fallout 4's Brotherhood chapter show up in this next one. This is the most brutal you'll see the Brotherhood of, or I've seen the Brotherhood of Steel at least, because their whole thing is they are 100% bent on finding old world technologies and making them applicable post-nuclear war. So yeah, the whole toaster thing, that's why, you know, they're just trying to find anything and everything they can. That's why they wear the power armor. And really no other faction does other than the Enclave, which is the evil version of the Brotherhood. So just be aware, there's worse out there that we'll probably see later. Yeah.
I got to say, I love, you said the actor's name earlier, but the one that played the dad?
Kyle MacLachlan, yeah.
Yeah, I loved seeing him in this. Original Paul Atreides, for those that
I didn't
may
know
not
I'd already met him until I saw
he was at a con not that long ago.
He was at Spooky, yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had to go get something signed by him, and I didn't know. I had never seen original Dune. I didn't give a shit.
I haven't either, but yeah, he was the original Paul Atreides in the original 1980s Dune.
Mm-hmm.
And I considered getting his autograph just because of that with Spooky last year. But it was great seeing him return to the world of like sci-fi and stuff like this. And, you know, that plot twist at the end was great.
Knocked it out
with
of the
his
park.
character.
Oh, yeah, he did a great job with that.
Yeah, especially when he got like super emotional and angry and his switch finally flipped, you know?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he had that moment, like, it reminded me of something, for the life of me, I can't remember what, but I'm sure there's a couple of examples, but those type of pivotal moments when a character's like true colors come out.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminded me of some of those really good moments. He did such a good job with that. Obviously, an entire season, dropping at once. We could talk about this forever, but I think we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here today. Want to thank you guys so much for joining us. Be sure to something popped up on my phone. It threw me off. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, all that good stuff. Check us out, Retroactive POD on Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Let's go around the panel real quick. Yeah, and see where you can find everybody. Ashlyn, let the people know where they can find you.
BookBrat90 on all socials. I just dropped our library tour video, so you can see all the cool stuff we got going on in there. It's finally, I know I've been plugging it for a while. It's finally here, so definitely check that out. Shut up.
And Brandon, how about you?
Venture Authentics on all platforms. Taking a trip this weekend, flying up to Chicago for C2E2. Taking lots of consignments. Josh Brolin, Maya Hawk, both of the Mickelson brothers, Mads and Lars, and a bunch more other guests that hardly ever, if ever, do come to Florida. So I'm really excited to kind of step foot in new territory and experience what a Reed Pop event is, because it's the first one I've ever done. So I'm pretty excited. So it's going to be a good time.
Awesome. And Josh, how about you?
Of course, you can find me at McCoy Culture on all platforms. And You can catch me every Friday night, like Andrew mentioned earlier, with our friend Miguel over on Toy Quest 101. I just did a little unboxing video of a cool Queen Studios Captain America statue. And like Andrew said earlier, make sure to, if you guys want, check the replay of our cool interview with Cal Dodd and Guy over from X-Men 97. That was definitely a fun time. Yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah, that was definitely a great show. Be sure to check that one out at the Toy Quest 101 channel. Of course, you can find me at Andrew is Losing on pretty much all social media. But with all that, I think we're going to call it a day. We will see you guys next time. Peace out.